Hello, friends, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Elevate with Erica. I'm seeing a lot more light in my life lately after the past year of many challenges. No, everything is not sunshine and rainbows, but the light at the end of the tunnel on the specific challenges that I have been facing is getting brighter and brighter. And I think we can all agree that it's usually easier to look back and see the lessons in our challenges, the message in our mess, than it is to see it right when we're in the thick of it, right? It's easier to look back on and be like, oh, that's why that had to go down like that, right? So I will say at the beginning stages of these challenges, I've had this past year, I wallowed a little bit. Like there were a few months where I just felt broken. And thankfully, that pain led me to building a relationship with God for the first time in my life, which then propelled me into having faith in Him, having a purpose for my pain, and then seeking that purpose fiercely. And that became my mission, uncovering what I was supposed to learn there in that mess, in that pain. And as I've shared here on a few episodes and on my social media, where I'm sometimes authentic to a fault, if that's a thing, I've found areas that needed work. Relationships and dynamics in those relationships, and even issues just within myself that were highlighted and that I wouldn't have addressed if it wasn't for the wake up call in the form of those challenges and the pain that they brought into my life. And that's why, I've said that I started to see that pain as a blessing. And that may sound crazy at first to hear from someone, right? But I can look back now and see that if those areas that needed work in my life hadn't been addressed when they were because of that pain, I would hate to see what problems I would be facing today, having not spent the time to give those things my attention and work on them. But now that I'm seeing more light in my life these days, I'm learning even more about why those challenges were a necessary redirection in my life. And I wanted to share this message today because I know someone is tuning in right now and you're in the thick of your struggle, right? And I just wanted to encourage you, if that's you, if you have to go through it anyway, find a lesson in it. Find the message in the mess. It's there. It may not be one that you want to hear. It may require you to call yourself out, but there is purpose in your pain. And maybe it's not even a call to work on something in your life. Like maybe what you're going through was unavoidable, but maybe the purpose in that is that you get to show yourself how resilient you are, how strong you are, because life is gonna keep lifing, right? We know that. And maybe this is just going to be proof for you that you can go through hard things and stand back up again. Or maybe the purpose in this pain is to help someone else. Maybe by speaking openly about what you're going through, maybe instead of using social media to portray your life as perfect, you impact another life by sharing your current struggle and how you're climbing out of it, creating real connection. And that's something a lot of us are lacking these days, right? Maybe that's what your message in the mess looks like. But if you do highlight an area of your life that needs more of your attention, that needs some rebuilding or a new approach altogether, I want to encourage you to lean into it. It's super uncomfortable. I know you may already be dealing with pain and sadness and stress and anxiety and even depression from what you're facing today. And the last thing you want to do is accept a lesson that's trying to make its way to you, but let it in. Let it in so that history doesn't repeat itself. You have to dig deep, right? You got to uncover how you got here. You got to uncover where you can grow and learn from how you got here. And I'm so passionate about personal development because I think it's an amazing gift to ourselves to continue striving to unlock our best selves until the day we are on the other side of this life, but also to everyone else that we come into contact with between now and then. If we all started pointing that finger back at ourselves, we'd be in a much better place. The best personal development that you can select whether it be in the form of podcasts or books or whatever, can come from moments like the challenges that you're facing today. Personal development is personal. It's not about grabbing the self-help book that your book club's reading this month. It should be about what you personally need to work on. You have to call yourself out before you can select personal development that's actually going to change your life, help make your future brighter than your past, help you stop repeating history, repeating patterns not serving you and your highest self. So this past year, I've dove into how to better parent teenagers, how to trust again after you've been betrayed, how to communicate better in a marriage, how to show up authentically and build connections without oversharing, how to uncover beliefs you've built from past experiences that are weighing you down today. I've dove into my childhood. I'm figuring out why I am the way that I am so that I can figure out what beliefs I've formed that aren't healthy for me. And in these things, I've been able to uncover the message in my mess that I've faced this past year. And it's also made me less ashamed of that mess, because sharing it as openly as I can and have also washes away my shame, because we open up ourselves to connection and we give people space to feel comfortable enough to come in and say, hey, you know what? I'm struggling with something similar. I'm going to openly share with you a few messages that I've uncovered in my mess from the past year in hopes that it gets your wheels turning too within your own circumstances. The foundation of my marriage was not strong enough to withstand the life that I wanted to build for me and my family. Our communication needed work. Our vulnerability with one another needed work. And I'd hate to see where we would be today if I continued to build my business and venture into various things if I did not address that first. The betrayal and loss of trust that I experienced was necessary for someone close to me to strengthen their faith and live and love more like Jesus. Now, that is a challenging one for me to say. The betrayal and loss of trust that I experienced was necessary for someone else to strengthen their faith and live and love more like Jesus. And it was also a cue for me to set healthier boundaries and to speak up. And without saying too much here, in order to protect my boys, the challenges that I faced surrounding my boys this past year and am still facing today helped me to see where I needed to stand up for them more, and also emphasize the attention and additional guidance that my oldest son needed to not continue down the path of poor choices he was on before he entered that crucial, influential phase of high school and all the pressures that come with that. And the pressure that I felt in my finances because other things needed more of my time and attention has taught me how I can improve my relationship with money and spending and scarcity mindset. I've adjusted to living with a lot less. And while I have big dreams for my business, and this isn't financially where I want to sit, I think that this phase was necessary for me to see what really matters to me. I've seen that no amount of money will buy happiness. No amount of money thrown on top of these challenges would have healed them. No amount of money would have replaced the work I've put in through uncovering these messages from my mess. You know, my husband and I have so much fun doing things together, experiencing, exploring, adventuring. We make a great travel pair. Our friends called us Yerika when we first started dating. His last name, which is what he goes by, Jaeger, and my first name, Erica, became Yerika because we were always together. We are that couple. It's not because we feel like we can't do anything without the other, but we just genuinely have so much fun doing things together. You know, those dating shows like The Bachelor or whatever, like, of course, they're falling in love on all those lavish trips, you know? But then they go home to their studio apartment and they eat Chinese takeout and they realize maybe we aren't so compatible. Maybe there really wasn't love there. and they were clouded by the glitz and the glam and the private jets, right? Well, this past year of additional financial burden has really given me the space for me and my husband to prove that we love each other's company, even at home, eating homemade Chinese, not even takeout, because even takeout is a luxury these days. Am I right? And the same goes for my boys. When you have split custody, you tend to really want to do it up when they're with you because you're constantly thinking about when they will leave you again and how you're going to miss them. So we were always go, go, go. Not even just spending money, but going to my mom's pool or heading to the beach. But this past year, we've actually spent more time just together at home, playing board games and watching movies and slowing down. And it's really highlighted what actually matters to me: time and connection with the people that I love, no matter where we are and what we're doing. And I think it's been a great lesson for my kids too. And there's a lesson here for you too, friend. There's a message in your mess. And if you don't find it, the mess will just find you again and again and again until you do. Lean into the work, the deep self work that's going to allow that message in loud and clear. Sit with your pain, sit with your challenge, with your mess, and seek the purpose in it. It doesn't make the suffering you're in today go away. And maybe even it won't even make it go away any faster, but it gives it a purpose, and a purpose gives you a direction. And having a direction is a way that's better than drowning in your struggle over and over again, right? Life is hard sometimes. But when we find the messages, we realize we don't have to make it harder. We can seek light again until we see light again, because there is light at the end of that tunnel. But learn while you're in it. There's a reason for this season. There is purpose in your pain. There is a message in your mess. And I am rooting for you to find it and let it in loud and clear. If you connected with this episode, will you do me a favor and share it with someone else who you think should hear this too? Or share it on your social for others to see and decide for themselves. Don't underestimate the power of your impact just by sharing something like this show. I appreciate you all so much for taking the time to do that, because it does put this show in front of more people, and it grows this community of people seeking ways to elevate their life to the next level. If you're listening to this episode on your podcast platform, you can also head down to the show notes and shoot me a text and share with me your message in the mess, or what your favorite part of the episode was today, or just say hi and connect. I saw a message on social media this week that I thought was great to close out this episode with. The ugly part of the story that you're living through right now is going to be the most powerful part of your testimony. Until next episode, friends.